Hey everybody. So when dealing with technology-based classes, software manufacturers tend to update their software, and we have to kind of adjust our tutorial videos to kind of match that. And so this relates to how Wise has updated their system. And so we're going to basically, in this video, download the new version of Wise, and we are going to download the new version of Unity and install those and show you how to get it up and running Wise connected to Unity. So I've gone to the download page of Audio Connect. So if you go to audiokinetic.com like this, you'll see their front page. On the upper right hand corner, you'll go to Download Wise. Within that, you select either Mac or PC. I'm on a Mac right now, so I'm going to hit Download Wise Installer. And I've already done that down here. And then what I can do is click that. And when I click that, I'll be guided through the steps to actually install the Wise launcher. Now the Wise launcher, and I'll launch it now because I've already done that. So Wise launcher, you'll see that in your applications folder. On the PC, you can just click the Start tab and then, or the Start icon, and actually type in Wise, and it will come right up. And when I launch it, you'll notice a couple of things. The first thing that you'll see is actually the home window, and it usually connects to the server if you have an internet connection. We don't need this. We don't need to connect to our server. It also tells you, so here's the server. These are community videos, tutorial videos, things like that. And that's fine. But we can go to Wise, and you want to make sure to install the latest version. The latest version for me is 2016.2.2. And so if you don't have that installed, what you can do is go down here and say install, and it will install that version. Now you can see there's also a tab up here for Unity. We're going to get this. We're going to get to this in a little bit. So hang on to the Unity section. We're going to start with a Wise section. So I'm going to quickly build a project with some materials. So I'll go back to Wise, my Wise launcher here, and go to the Wise, and then just launch it like that. And then it will pull up my project. I'm going to go ahead and make a new project and kind of put everything together in a brand new video. So here we go. So we have my project. I'm going to go accept that, build a brand new project. I'm going to put it on my desktop. I'm going to call it Branching Wise Project. And I don't need to import these assets. Those are basically virtual instruments and effects that I can bring in. I am going to add a platform though, and you can do this later, but I'm going to add the Mac platform into it. So I'm building for both Windows and Mac. I hit OK. And then it's going to create a folder on my desktop called Branching Wise. And within that folder, it's going to put a bunch of folders similar to the way Pro Tools creates a new folder when you create a project. All right, now I'm back over here. It basically asked me about the license. I don't have a professional license for just working like this. You can do a free limited commercial license for projects that have less than 500. We're not making any money off this project, so it's not important right now. We're going to go right to the interactive music layout. We're going to go to the audio tab, and we're going to bring some things into our default work unit. These will be my branching project assets. So here are my branching materials, and I have an intro, and I'll drag that in first. Then I'm going to drag in all these other assets, like so. Okay, so now I have all my assets in here. These are all segments that it's built. So basically, just to review, when I go to the intro has put that asset on a track, and that asset has then been put into a segment. So waves onto tracks, tracks into segments. And then I'm going to subgroup some of these. So the first state, 1A through 1D, I'm going to select those, new parent, new playlist, and call this state 1 playlist. And then I'm going to do the same thing with 2 as well, like so. new playlist container, state to playlist. And all I'm doing right now is changing the hierarchy of my branching project. I'm actually not building those playlists yet. I'm going to build them in just a second. State 3 playlist. So I'm creating them and then I need to build them. So in state 1, you can see when I look at it, there's actually nothing in it. So what I want to make sure to do is drag all these out to the actual to the playlist itself. So I'm building the playlist now. I create the hierarchy first, then build the playlist. I'm going to have them go in order and then repeat the whole thing. So I'm going to do that for state 1. I have to build it for state 2 as well, like so. And I'm going to loop the whole thing. And then same thing with state 3. Nothing there yet. I need to create it. I add the 3 in, and then I'm going to go ahead and change my loop count to infinite. All right, the next part is I want to go from state to state to state. So I'll select all 3 playlists. So actually I'm going from playlist to playlist to playlist, which here are our states. So I'll go ahead and create a new parent, and for this I'll create a switch container, and I'll just call it game switch. Let's call it game music switch container. Like that. All right, now I have 3 playlists within that, but again I've kind of built it in the hierarchy, but I also need to kind of set it up the way that I want it to be set up. And this is where the game is going to communicate with Wwise. So I need what are called game syncs, and I can build them here, but I'm going to go over to the game syncs tab. It's a little easier here. We're going to use states for this. So I'm going to create a new state group by right-clicking, and I'll call this game state. And then within game state, I'm going to have actually 3 states within it. So one will be called explore, and the next one for this project is called chase, and the one after that is called fight. So within game state I have 3 states. So this right here is a state group, and within the state group I have 3 different states. When I go back to my audio tab and I go to my switch container, I'll actually be able to select them from this double greater than arrow, state group, game state, and then I can see those 3 states that I just created. All right, we are almost done creating our state and our switch container. I want to drag in state 1 to explore, state 2 playlist to chase, and state 3 playlist to fight. Obviously yours are probably going to be different. They may be cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. They might be puzzle part 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's really, the game is going to determine what these should be called. And lastly, within the switch container itself, I'm going to go up to transitions and set up my transitions. And there are different ways to do this. I'm going to add a couple in. Most of mine go right to the end of the cue, that's exit cue. So I'm not going to leave the current piece that's playing until it reaches the end of it. And so that's set to exit cue. By the way, this is a question that comes up a lot. How do I set where it ends? If you imported it the way I did, which is just drag it in and out, it's going to set up your endpoint, which is this red marker, in the segment at the end of the WAV file. But you can, if you have a reverb tail in your piece, you can actually move that exit cue to a different point. Let's say this was the reverb tail, then what you could do is drag that over to here, and that would place your end. Sometimes if you're replacing WAV files, these can get screwed up, so you just want to check those sometimes. If you import them the way I did, which is drag and drop to create a new segment, then you shouldn't have a problem. All right, going back up to the game music switch container, I'm going to go into my transitions again and look at this. The only extra transition, all of them I want to end on exit cue and then enter at the beginning of the file, which is called the entry cue. But I want to add two special ones. One, when I go from nothing into state 1, and another one when I go from state 3 to none. And this is where I'm going to put my intro and exit. So when I'm going from nothing to state 1, I'm going to use a transition segment. I'm going to pick the loop intro. So it's going to play loop intro and then jump into state 1 playlist. And then vice versa, when I'm going to state 3 to none, I want to use a transition and I want to play the outro. This one here. And I'm going to save my project because I haven't done that in a while. By the way, see this asterisk up here? That means I haven't saved. If you hit Control S, even on a Mac, it will save it. On a PC, it will also save it. That's why the asterisk went away. So I'm just going to test this. I want to make sure that my game music switch container is selected. And I also see it down here. I'm not seeing it down here. It says loop 1A in the transport. So what I'm going to do is unpin loop 1A and then switch over to my game music switch container so I can see it down here. And then I'm going to start it up. And I'm going to start with none in my game state. And then I'm going to go to explore. And remember, this will play my intro segment. This is my intro here. And now we're actually in playlist 1. There's some silence in between the phrases. We'll let it play one more phrase, and then I'm going to switch to chase right here. So we're in the middle of the phrase, and then we'll, at the end of the phrase, go into chase. And now that chase is playing, I'm going to go into fight. I'm going to wait till the next phrase. There's the next phrase. Again, we're going to wait till the end of the branch right here, and then go into fight. Slightly faster tempo, and it cycles through these. Then I'm going to go to none, and it's going to play my outro starting right here, coming up, right there. So I've set everything up correctly, and that's really awesome and cool. And so right now what I'm going to do is save all of this, and I'm going to stop this video and do part 2. In part 2, what we're going to do is we're going to start creating events and sound banks and then pulling them into a Unity project. See you on the other side.